You know, it wasn't that long ago where we're sat at our desks the day of Nvidia earnings and all of the literature's calling it a macro level event, such as the impact of a single name on the market. Maybe we're a bit flippant then, but Carmen set us up nicely, right, of the state of play. Is this a macro level event this Wednesday?
I don't see it as that. I think it's still incredibly important given it's the largest stock in the S&P, and it does give us insight into what are the ordering patterns, because you see all of that big tech investment that's gone through with the spending plans of Amazon, Meta, Facebook. Those are probably translating into some of the Nvidia orders, and it has big impact for the chips providers as well. So it certainly matters quite a bit, but I think it'll take a really big beat to see the stock actually move because expectations are so high. And that's kind of similar for the whole technology sector. We have valuations are very high, so it's got to be earnings that's really going to drive growth in the share price because it's hard to see those valuations going much higher.
In the context of software, you were in the camp, and we had this discussion last week with others, that the sell-off we've seen, AI-related sell-off, particularly in software, has been indiscriminate. That word comes up a lot. What's your argument on that?
So I think for a long time we've been saying we don't necessarily know who the AI winners and losers are. And it's kind of like investors actually decided to put their money behind that with the recent sell-off that we had. And I think people have realized that they don't necessarily know who those winners are going to be and just sort of indiscriminately sold a lot of the market. I think there will be software companies that can do incredibly well out of this because AI can dramatically reduce their cost to deliver programming. It can make things more efficient, reduce their expenses, deliver, better experience. But executing all that is really difficult, and not every software company is going to be able to do it.
Will you learn much from just earnings and fundamentals this time, Shanti? Could that be where investors decide to try and catch a falling knife, so to speak?
I think it's hard to see people changing their minds so quickly, only in the last few weeks. But the technology sector does move incredibly fast, as we've seen. You can have those moments like DeepSeek where everything seems to change overnight. But usually the sell-offs are quick, and then it takes time to rebuild the momentum.
Shanti, what is your view? What are you in rooms discussing? That yes, we are at this point where AI is going to eat software instead of software eating the world? Or do you think companies will ultimately survive this shift and be able to rebuild from within?
I think a lot of companies will be able to survive it. I think the big thing we're looking at is how much AI is starting to impact industries outside of technology, and that's where valuations are lower. You're starting to see it come into shopping. You're starting to see it come into the wealth industry to make it easier to comply with regulations, banking and finance, certainly. And I think that's where if some of those sectors can start to demonstrate that they're using the technology well and adopting it, then they'll really be rewarded.
Tariffs. It's very hard to join all of the pieces of bad news, so to speak, together. But the tech sector's view on tariff policy uncertainty right now?
I think obviously it lowers rates slightly on places like, Asia, China, which helps some of those manufacturing bases. So maybe it marginally reduces some of their costs. I think the long-term trend of technology companies trying to diversify their production and having manufacturing in the US and Mexico and still in Asia as well, going to India, I don't think that's going to change because people don't think the uncertainty is going to go away. And we still will probably have an unpredictable policy environment. So you want to be able to have all of your options open. Probably it helps on balance some of the software, the things that are producing actual physical goods. But we'll see how long this rate stays in place. We could all change in 150 days, as we know.